What's going on, everybody? So tonight, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5 aired tonight, and boy, was it a fucking episode. Um, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy this review. Just a heads up, there are going to be spoilers for this review. It's really the only way I can review a Game of Thrones episode, just because if I didn't give spoilers, I'd be saying the same exact shit every fucking week in these reviews, and that's no fun for you guys. So, and plus, I like talking about what happened and then speculating on what's to come, which there's only one more episode in this season, and this is the last season, so I can't fucking wait. But if you're a returning viewer or, you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I hope that you do enjoy this review. Like always, leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of this episode and what you guys think is going to happen in next week's episode. And let's just start with this review. So this episode was finally the war for King's Landing, or the final war, as Daenerys put it. That now they just fought the Great War after the Night King, Battle of the Night King, and now they're going to fight the final war. And that obviously is not going to be a true statement, even though she might think it is. So basically, last week's episode, Sansa and Arya found out that who Jon is, and then Sansa told Tyrion, and then Tyrion told Varys, and then Varys, realizing how unhinged, Daenerys was becoming, or how emotional that she was, and how easy it would be for her to become how her father was, he started plotting and was like, because he's always been, I will do whatever's best for Westeros. I'm not, I'll be loyal to whoever I think is best. And then, he realizes that Jon is the best, ruler. And even Tyrion realizes that, but he's loyal to Daenerys. Except I don't think he is anymore, but we'll get to that later. So, with that being said, Tyrion tells Daenerys that, Varys is, plotting against her, and basically she already knew that, but she says that before he says it was Varys, he's like, someone betrayed you, and she's like, yeah, I know, and then she said Jon Snow, because Jon, told Sansa and Arya who he really was, and, she didn't want him to tell them. She wanted to keep it a secret, because if that got out, then everyone would want them, him to be on the throne instead of her, and that would, compromise her ruling, and so on and so forth. And so, he ultimately, he keeps no secrets. He is a very truthful and honest person, and he is going to tell his sisters the truth about who he really is, so he did. And that, then Sansa told Tyrion, and so on and so forth. And basically, Tyrion betrayed her by telling Varys and spreading it. But ultimately, Varys dies. He gets executed by Daenerys, and Drogo, burned alive, because of, him plotting to get Jon on the throne. And so, that happened, and then, it goes to, like, she tells Tyrion, if you fail me again, it'll be the last time you fail me. And right at then, she told him that Jaime was, caught trying to get into King's Landing to go back to Cersei. And so then, Tyrion goes and releases him and tells him, to take Cersei, take the dinghy that he led for him, and start a new life, basically, because he wants his brother to live. And I love the little moment that they had in that tent, talking about, how he wouldn't have survived his childhood, if it wasn't for Jaime. And Jaime's like, yeah, you would. And he's like, nah, I really wouldn't, because I only had you. And so just in that moment, we've always known that they had a special connection, with each other, and that Jaime was always the only one to really treat Tyrion as family, because Cersei hated him, his dad hated him. So it was a nice final moment between them, because they both, Tyrion knew that he would probably get executed for this, and ultimately, he did it to save his brother's life, but also to try and, get the people of King's Landing to ring the bells and surrender, so that this bloodshed doesn't happen. But, then it goes to, and he's ready to die for this if it saves. I love the line that he said. 100 thousands of innocent people survive, and one not so innocent dwarf. It's a fair trade, or it's worth it type deal. And I love that he's willing to give his life to save these people, even though these people wanted to execute him for killing Joffrey, even though he didn't do it. They were on his dad's side and everything. They actually believed him and turned on him. But even out through all that, he still, he thinks they're innocent. I love that. That just shows you who Tyrion really is. And then, with Daenerys, Jon, tells, she's like, no one here loves me in Westeros. And Jon tells her, well, I love you. And they kiss, and then she says, but, like, he starts pulling away, and that's because I think that he is also kind of afraid of her. Just because of, how she's been acting lately with, being distant with him. And so she ultimately says that, since it's gotten out, the only way she is going to rule now is by fear. So that brings us to them going up against, the seas of King's Landing. And so it starts with her, taking out the Iron Fleet, and she just demolishes that instantly. Like, they thought that they had them, Drago, with the arrowheads. Those fuckers didn't even know. Drago is a fucking beast. He is the one that's been shot with them once. The sole surviving dragon is the biggest and baddest one out of all of them. The other two were basically children to compare to him. And so, he was maneuvering, dodging them and everything, and just wiping out the Iron Fleet. And then, you see Jon and Grey Worm and Tyrion and all them, lined up with their armies outside the wall of King's Landing. She takes out the wall, takes out all the Golden Compass's army, which, for them to be the best, the best paid army in the world, they sure got their asses handed to them very fast. And so they, she wiped out all I think they called them Scorpions, which were the launchers for the arrows that could kill the dragons. And then they, marched into King's Landing, and ultimately, Cersei was up there. I loved how they kept going back and forth from Cersei and all of them, from the battle to Cersei up there watching, and how, she was full of, like, hope that she was going to win. And then as it kept going more and more, you could start seeing the doubt and the fear come into her, like, holy shit, I just lost. And she underestimated, her enemy. And so, ultimately, they get in, they start, fighting, and then after, Daenerys wipes out all the Scorpions, the Lannister army, they surrender, and they ring the bell, and Tyrion, gets real excited, because then the bloodshed doesn't happen. And it kept, going back and forth to Dany, and then all of them, and then ultimately, Daenerys just starts wiping all these fuckers out. She basically destroyed King's Landing in that instance, because she was so filled with rage and hatred to Cersei and just Westeros. She became her father, and thinking that she has to rule out fear, she killed majority of the people in King's Landing, the armies, the innocent people, the children, women, all of them. And so that is how that basically went down. And I love how Jon and Tyrion's face just said it all, and how they were feeling about her doing what she did. And like, Jon told his men to stand back because they did surrender, because Tyrion told them that if they ring the bell, then that they surrender, so pull your troops back. And Grey Worm saw that and was not happy. So I think that's going to play into next week's episode, because he's going to tell Daenerys that Jon was trying to pull back his men because they surrendered, even though when she charged forward and started doing that was when they should have kept following her. which they did, which you got to see the northern, people kind of, I want to say it was the northerners kind of become savage a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure if, it looked like it was the northerners, start, chasing down people, and then John ended up killing one of them because he was about to, I want to say, rape a woman, and just, just all that shit went down, and while that was going down, you had Jaime trying to get to Cersei, but he couldn't, so he ended up, going through the tunnel that Tyrion told him about, where they could escape, and Euron came up, and ultimately, Euron got a few good stabs in Jaime, but Jaime killed Euron Greyjoy, so Euron died by Jaime, even though he died thinking that he killed Jaime Lannister, which he didn't. Jaime Lannister killed Jaime Lannister by going back to try to be with Cersei. And also, the Hound and Arya made it into the Red Keep right before they closed the gates. And this was the biggest thing, because we've always known that, with Arya being on this quest for revenge, that Cersei was at the top of her list. And, I love the moment when they're in the room with the floor and the map, where the map is. The Hound looks at him and is like, look, don't become me. Don't let your rage and hatred and quest for revenge get you killed, because it's going to get me killed. If you follow me, you're going to get killed. But, look around. The rubble, the fire, the dragon, the Dothraki, she's not making out of the city alive. So why sacrifice yourself, just to kill her when she's going to die regardless? And, Arya said thank you to him, and I love that moment, because Arya and him has always had some type of connection ever since, they were on the road together way back in season 2 or 3. Let me know if that's right. It might have been 4. I don't think it was 4. Nah, because she was in Braavos in 4, or going to Braavos, so yeah, it should have been 2 or 3, maybe parts of 4. Think so. Let me know down in the comments. It's been a while since I've watched 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, and she said thank you, and she left, and he went on to fight the Mountain and his brother, and that right there was by far one of the highlights of this episode. This episode was really like, holy shit episode. Like, we knew it was going to be, them going to King's Landing and taking care of Cersei, but in the end, Cersei kind of felt bad for her. Not really felt bad for her, but like, she's done this shit, but never to this degree, and it changed your whole perspective on Daenerys. Like, you saw Daenerys becoming unhinged, but you're like, oh shit, like, Daenerys, just became her father, the Mad King, but she's not. She would be the Mad Queen. Like, it's just like, what the fuck just happened? She lost both her dragons. I don't know. She's so consumed with hate for Westeros because they keep rejecting her, and she feels threatened to what she thinks is her birthright, which it actually turns out it isn't. It's actually Jon's. But yeah, this episode was fantastic. The fight scenes and like the CGI and all that was all fantastic. I loved that. It showed a lot more hand-to-hand combat. And it got really fucking gruesome. Like, we've seen gruesome, but honestly, this might have been some of the gruesomest fight scenes, fight choreography in this episode, because you actually guys see a bunch of people's body limbs get dismembered and stuff like that. A lot of blood. So that, I don't remember really any, there's always been a lot of blood and dismemberments, but never to this close up, I would say. I'm trying to think back if there was. Let me know. I think the Battle of Bastards had some of it, but this was honestly one of the greatest battles out of the whole show. A lot of really good character moments, really good, conclusions to a lot of story, lines that they've been having going on since season 1. The Hound in the Mountain finally came to a head, and ultimately the Hound, knew the only way he was going to kill his brother was if he sacrifices himself and, jumps off the fucking tower into the fire with his brother. So, that came to a conclusion. Arya finally realized that, it's not always about the revenge. Like, she has a lot more to live for than just this mission that she's been on, this whole list mission that she's been on for since she was real young. You know, she has a lot more to live for. And I really did like that. Tyrion, I honestly, I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out for next week's episode. Next week's episode is the last episode, like I said. And honestly, after everything Daenerys just did, I don't think Tyrion is going to be loyal to her anymore. I think Jon is, he sees what she is capable of, and it goes against every little moral bone in his body. Like, that should have never happened, because they, surrendered, and you have to respect that, or you just become like the people that you promised you were going to destroy. She just became all of these people. Cersei, her dad, all of them, that she kept saying that I'm not going to become them, I'm going to be a different type of ruler. She became them in an instant. And so, don't know how this is going to play out. It's either going to be, because she still has Drogo and all the Unsullied and the Dothraki, and they're going to be loyal to her to the end. So it's either Arya. I think Arya is probably going to kill Daenerys, which would mean that, Jon could get Drogo, and then either the Unsullied and Dothraki will follow him or leave Westeros and go back home, or they're gonna have to wipe them all out. Or, and this is probably the most likely scenario, and I hate to say it, but the showrunners have already said that not everyone's going to like the ending of the show, and that would mean that Daenerys would probably win, just because there are people who this whole show we've been wanting Daenerys to be the ruler of the Westeros, and now after what she does, everyone's gonna be like flip-flop and go to Jon. Or some of them might be loyal. Let me know if you're still loyal to Daenerys, because, I don't know. Do you like what she did in this episode? Are you excited to see how she rules, or do you want Jon? But it's possible that she is going to wipe out all of the Starks in next week's episode. She's going to kill Jon, she's going to kill Sansa, Arya, Bran, all of them. And that would be the only way, if she wipes out the Stark family, that's the only way that she could, make the North follow her out of fear. But as long as the Stark is alive, they're always going to, have the Stark's backs. And that's been proven time and time and again. And this is, one of the, I don't know, type scenarios. It's kind of far-fetched, but I think that how it's going to be is possibly Jon is going to move the North outside the wall, and they're going to go live beyond the wall like the wildlings do, and let Westeros just let Daenerys have it, and they're going to be done with Westeros, and they're just going to go live out there like wildlings. That is probably possibly my favorite, because he doesn't want to be. That way everyone lives, Daenerys lives, and all that, because Daenerys, I think, once she gets out of this, rage, and she's gonna see what she's done, and she's gonna have a lot of remorse. But then again, she might not. It all depends. But as long as she has Drogo, they never stand a chance. So I honestly don't know. It's either or they're finally gonna come into play with Tyrion and his how he was able to take the collar, the chains off the dragon, why they lay him so close to him and let him touch them. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out. I honestly don't know where the fuck they're going to go with this, but I'm excited. We have a week until it plays, so yeah, I will be reviewing next week's episode, and then I'm gonna try to get a couple people on for a podcast talking about the whole series and what we thought of how they wrapped it up. If we liked the ending, if we didn't, we're just gonna have a good time and talking about it. But yeah, I'm gonna give Game of Thrones season 8, episode 5. A 5 out of 5 stars. This was a great fucking episode. This whole season's been just fucking great. It's been a great last season. And I didn't talk about this, but I like like, it's not how I thought Cersei was gonna go out. I did think that Arya was gonna kill her, but I did like how they, you know, let, you know, her and Jaime stay down where they kept the dragon skulls, you know, as the castle was falling, and they just got buried in rubble, but they got to hold each other till the very end, and I did like that, because I loved Jaime's character. I loved all his story arcs, even though he ultimately died with the love of his life. I like that. Even though she was horrible, I still like the way that they did that. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for this episode. Alright guys, so down in the comments, let me know what you guys thought of this video, what you thought of this episode, how you think the show's going to end, and all the other little things that I said to comment down below. You know, throughout this video, just let me comment and talk to me down there. There's a lot to talk about, so let's carry on conversation down there. Also in the description, I have links to my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages, and a Reddit page for the channel. You click over there for some updates on personal life, things I'm working on, things I'm thinking about doing. Also, you know, on Twitter, I tweet random things about my work schedule, things about my life, stuff like that. Also on Instagram, I go live every now and again. And, you know, while I'm watching a movie, or just to talk to you guys, so you guys can get to know me and let me get to know you guys a little bit better. Also, you know, might post some digital copies over there with movies, or I might, you know, just let you know what type of videos I'm working on for the week, my shoot schedule. So, you know, follow me over there for a lot, just to stay up to date with the channel and me personally, because there's a lot of fun stuff I have in the works, or wanting to do in the works. So yeah, follow me over there, and if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, because it really does help me out. Also share with all your friends, family, others you know, and even people that you don't know, and hit that subscribe button for more awesome content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.